Grove, would you bless the Lord today for our music ministry? Bless the Lord for our wonderful choir. No, I mean really bless God. Thank God for those who are giving of themselves to minister to us today. Now, I got to be honest with you. If your neighbor wasn't asleep, we could have taken the words of Dr. King and gave the benediction and been out of here. But your neighbor was asleep, so that means I got to preach this morning to wake us up. Somebody needs to hear what the Lord has to say. Am I right about that? And I know that we have had some reasons to slow down this morning, some kind of setbacks. First of all, we're getting to church, those of you who are coming from the south side of town. And then we had some things happening in the sanctuary, so I want you to buckle your seatbelt. We are going to move quickly this morning, all right? All right, every now and then, nudge the one that's sitting next to you. Don't be ugly about it, but just nudge them a little bit. Because, you know, we have a tendency to drift off. This robe I'm wearing today, again, is to honor my pastor, Dr. W. Marshall Miles. 60 years of ministry, 42 years of ministry in one place at the New St. John Baptist Church. So I thought if he gave it to me as a gift, people don't have to be nice to you. So this is my way of saying thank you to those of you who will see him during the week. If you would, please join me in the book of Philippians chapter 4, verses 10 through 13. Philippians chapter 4, 10 through 13. I believe the Spirit of the Lord is in the place today. We haven't seen a lot of pew jumping or laps around the church, but that doesn't mean that the Spirit of God is not here with us today. Philippians chapter 4, 10 through 13 calls our attention. I'm reading from the New International Version. It reads this way. This is Paul talking, by the way. I rejoice greatly in the Lord that at last you renewed your concern for me. Indeed, you were concerned, but you had no opportunity to show it. I am not saying this because I am in need, for I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all things through him who gives me strength. That's the reading of God's holy word. Thank you for standing and reading with us. This is the third installment of our series entitled Self-Care on Fleek. Self-care on Fleek. At least somebody's alive in the church today. Amen. Let that baby talk. Self-care on Fleek. And today's installment is about self-efficacy. Self-efficacy. Let me just put it to you another way. Believe in yourself. That's what we're going to talk. Y'all got that? Believe in yourself. That's what we're going to talk about. Okay, let's take this journey together. Those who have imagined and generated the so-called Western world think they have it all together without any fallacy or flaws. But the fact of the matter is there are plenty fallacy, plenty flaws in the philosophies and in the assumptions of people who think that they are driving the world today. In fact, one of the major fallacies, one of the major flaws, if you will, in their thinking, in their philosophy, in the way that they have constructed their political machines, is that they think that the masses, the people, that's you and me, that the people are all right with being governed by corrupt people. In fact, they think it's all right that you are satisfied. In fact, you even want somebody to lord over you, not to lead you to righteousness and right, but to lead you into hell's damnation. Put simply, what I've noticed around the world today, in all of these so-called Eurocentric countries, is that they want the social classes separate and apart. They want us fighting and arguing with one another. Those whose whole being is based on profiting off of other people's pain, and those who find joy in uncovering those that they can look down upon. They think it's all right with you that you are always struggling, trying to make it from day to day. The last thing in the world that they want, as they look down on their high horses from us, is that we should believe in ourselves. They want anything and everything but for you to believe in yourself. In fact, I would suggest that they're trying to put us in straitjackets, make our ways narrow. They want you, they want me, they want us in a spiritual straitjacket that has us always waiting for God to do for us what we ought to be doing for ourselves. They want us in an ideological straitjacket such that even our religion teaches us that success means to be shaped by them, to aspire to be them, to think like them, to act like them, to talk like them, because they are the only ones who know the way the world ought to be. In fact, they not only want us in a religious or spiritual straitjacket, they not only want us in an ideological straitjacket, but they want us in an intellectual straitjacket, so that we will think that their systems of education is the only system of education that renders or is worthy of celebration. In fact, what they want is for you to despise, for us to despise anybody and anything that has not sat in their halls of academia. You know how it is. Give a Negro a diploma and he or she thinks that they are greater than you with your third grade education, except for when they get in trouble and they need somebody to get them out of trouble. They think that the lessons and the investments of their community is not worthy of the acceptance and the praise of the so-called social structure. You know, the people that kept you with a little money in your pocket, the people that made sure that you were able to buy your books while you were schooling. You know, the people that prayed for you when you didn't know how to pray for yourself. Now they want to look down on you because a white man said or a white woman said that they are worthy to sit at the table with them. I'm talking, and I hope somebody is listening. See, I want to give it to you straight. I don't have time to play this morning. Let me give it to you like God gave it to me. Those who operate according to the systems and structures of this world don't want you to believe in yourself. They want you to believe in anything or anybody other than yourself. They want you to believe in being in the right place at the right time. But don't believe in yourself. They want you to believe in coincidence and luck. But whatever you do, don't believe in yourself. They want you to believe in the one that signs your check or lords over you to make you think of yourself less than who you are. In other words, don't believe in yourself. They want you to believe in human networks. They want you to believe in government assistance. They want you to believe in the kindness of members of the dominant culture, yet global minority. But the last thing they want black people to do, the masses of people, white, black, purple, or green, is to believe in yourself. Now, when I say believe in yourself, I don't just mean the one that's sitting in your clothes right now. I mean believe in yourself as a people. Believe in yourself as a neighborhood. Believe in yourself as a faith community. So they want you to believe in anything and everybody but yourself. But that's not God's ideal for you. In fact, I want to tell you that's not God's plan. That's not God's thoughts for you. No. God wants us to understand that we are built for it. Somebody say, I'm built for it. I'm built for whatever challenges we may face. I am built for whatever opportunities present themselves. I'm built for whatever real or imagined obstacles try to get in our way. God made us to be, listen closely, God made us to be the compass. Moral or otherwise, you are the compass among a lost people. No, you got to feel that. You got to feel that thing. God made you, God made us to be light in another world, in an otherwise dark spiritual world. God made us to be the evidence and the testimony that you better not fool with God's people. God made you as proof that not only does God take care of his own, but God wants the world to see that it's not where you start, but it is about following God to the destiny that God has plans for you. I know I'm right. I know I'm right. In fact, check out Paul, the one that Dr. Freddie Haynes calls the gospel globetrotter. Check out Paul as he writes to this group of people who lives at Philippi. First of all, this is a thank you letter. Because while everybody else had forgotten about Paul and walked out, when Paul was no longer popular when Jesus was no longer when King was no longer popular among the people, black church people, when Paul was no longer popular, there was one group that remembered Paul. It was the people at Philippi. One group that was checking in on Paul. One group that was trying to slip him a sandwich or two. One group that was trying to make sure Paul had everything he needed. And Paul decided, since you've been so good to me, I need to thank you. I could pause right there and preach for a while if I had time, that your mama and them taught you that you ought to have at least enough sense in you to say thank you sometimes. It's a mighty hard-hearted person that can't say thank you when people go out of their way to be kind to you. But since we don't have time, let's move on. Paul wrote this thank you letter, and in the thank you letter, he tried to encourage the people of God. Don't worry about me, I'm good. Yeah, listen to that. Don't worry about me, I'm good. It was Paul who declared those prominent words that we all, if you spend any time around the church, you remember, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Check Paul's personal transformation. Is your neighbor still awake? Check Paul's personal transformation. When you go back and read chapter 3 and verse 5, Paul said, I can do all things, but because I'm Paul, I'm the one. I'm the man. Paul says, circumcised on the 8th day of the stock of Israel, of the tribe of Benjamin, of a Hebrew of the Hebrews, concerning the law, of Pharisee, concerning zeal, persecuting the church, concerning the righteousness which is in the law, blameless. In other words, Paul said, I am who I am because of human imagination. I was able to climb the so-called social and corporate ladder because I have the right training. I had the right teacher on my side. Paul probably had privileges and advantages of which most other people never had access in their lives. But then Paul met Jesus. But then Paul had his own revelation. And Paul understood, I can do all things, but it's not in my strength. I can do all things, but it's not because of who I know. I can do all things, but it's not because of my business network. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Paul recognized and testified that real strength doesn't come from the world. Real strength, power, love, and a sound mind that God gives, that's real strength. See, when you and God are tight like that, Your every move is empowered and authorized by something God's faithfulness can give you. There are some things that humans will give you that'll last for a little while, pop. But then there are other things that God gives you that because humans didn't give it to you, humans can't take it away. But a word of caution now, a word of caution. You can't believe in yourself without the knowledge of God, that it is God at work in our life. Don't you realize or remember that God knew you before you were in your mama's womb? So you got to know God in order to know yourself. And if you know yourself, then you can believe in yourself. I'm hurrying on. Are you still with me? Paul said, I learned, and I'm going to cut through this part real quickly, so catch me. Paul said, I learned as if I didn't always know. But what it reminds me is that when you learn better, then you can do better. And when you can do better, then you don't base your life on lies or make decisions based on lies. That's why you came to church today. That's why I hope. That's why you may can't stand the ground I walk on, but you keep showing up because you know I'm going to tell you the truth. I hope that's why while you eating your cereal on a Sunday morning, you click on the Elm Grove page on YouTube because you know that I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't always like telling the truth. You don't always like me telling you the truth. But when you know better or learn better, you can do better. And when you can do better, you can stop basing your life's decisions on lies. You know the lies that they try to tell us, like you are ghetto, you ratchet, you. Last time I checked, what God created can never be anything but what God created us to be. They say Africa is ghetto. They say Africa is torn down and poor and ratchet. Well, last time I checked, Africa was the richest continent on this earth. That is until the 14th and the 15th century when we met. You go Google that part and see for yourself who we met in the 14th and 15th century. How you gonna call me ghetto? That's what I want to know. How are you gonna call me ghetto when you sent somebody to Congress that when they couldn't stand the heat talking about we could take it outside? I don't know about you, but I'm not a betting man. But if I were a betting man, I would believe that Jasmine Crockett would have waxed that. How you gonna call me ghetto? And you elected the felon in chief who got cases, right? Got cases and convictions, 34 to be exact. You calling me ghetto? He got multiple baby mamas. He cheated on all 3 of his wives. Shout out to Mega Mike and the Christian white nationalists. How you calling me ghetto and Trump can't tell the truth to save his life? All I'm trying to get you to see is we got to believe in ourselves. You can't believe what people are saying to you and about you. You don't have time for that kind of cap. You don't have time for that kind of whitewashed propaganda, because when you learn better, you do better. And when you do better, you can stop basing your life's decisions on lies. This is the one. I had a long conversation yesterday with Reverend Burnell Price. It seems like such a simple word, but it confused me to no end. Paul said, I can do. What does he mean? Seemingly, the Greek is not enough. I can do. Explanations of preachers of old and preachers of our contemporary age simply tell us that this notion of doing has to do with contentment, and contentment says it don't matter, right? Sometimes we say, what you want? It don't matter. Whatever I'm going through, it don't matter whether I'm hungry or whether I'm full. It don't matter whether, but that seems like not enough. to explain such deep theological concern of the man who's now in a dungeon with a thorn in his flesh that God refused to move. Nero's henchmen are sharpening their axe to take his head off, according to legend. And this man says, rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. So I can do, seems to me, have much more to say than we give it credit for. I know it's only 2 words. You probably learned it in that little red book in first grade, the word do, but I think we need to take a little look at it. I know we're late. Give me a couple of minutes and I'll be out of your way. I understand, like I just said, that Paul goes through things, and I know we don't like to talk about our troubles because people don't like to sing the blues no more. But every now and then, you just got to call it like you see it. It is what it is. Sometimes we all going through some things. Am I right about that? Am I right about that? Yeah, I'm with you. I know you think that I'm going to leave here, go drink a cup of coffee, and go up to heaven until next week. But I promise you, baby, I am in the same predicaments as you. Just like people try to play in your face, people try to play in my face, too, like I'm a fool. I'm just like you. Sometimes we feel like that we gave our best, and the best is not reciprocated back to us. Always asking Rail, pray for me. When are you going to pray for Rail? I agree. The old heads in here who remember James Ingram said, I gave my all, but I guess my all wasn't good enough. And can we be honest with one another for at least 3 minutes? Seems like God is taking God's time in whatsoever God said he would do for you. Okay, that's just me. I'm sorry. But I came to encourage you today. Don't just sing. It's all right to sing the blues, but don't get stuck on the blues. Don't let depression take over and match the system of subversive oppression that you're already dealing with. That's why Paul said, rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. Look again. Look again. In spite of it all, in spite of the fact that I have to sing the blues from deep down within me sometimes, Paul still said, I can do. Don't look now, but these are the words of a man who knows that his life will soon be coming to an end, a premature end that is, and yet he still believes in himself. Paul's words reminds us, sisters and brothers, that we are strong enough to handle Project 2025, the felon in chief, all of the billionaires who have taken over our government. We are strong enough. You strong enough to handle your personal situations. I don't care if it's sickness. I don't care if it's financial trouble. I don't care if it's family problems, if it's school problems, if they acting crazy on your job. God has made you strong enough to handle whatever comes your way. My word today is believe in yourself. Because greater is he that is in you. Put your name in the slot than he that is in the world. Now, I got to go. We have to go. I know you reserve your table at brunch, so I'm going to say what I got to say and sit down. But, Brother Hawkins, sometimes I'm slow to understand. And things go over my head until I have time to sit down, think about it, and put it in terms that make sense to me. All this talk about believing yourself, I'm not going to lie to you. I was arguing with God the whole time, believe in myself. Do you see what I'm going through? believe in myself. Do you know the number of haters that are lined up that can't wait to put the knife in my back? I know I'm not the only one. Sometimes they report to me, Reb, somebody mad at you. I say, give them a number, because there's a whole lot of people in front of them. I'm not the only one. Don't sit like you don't have that situation in your life. You telling me to believe in myself, so I had to break it down. See, before I was school age, I forget the name of the street, but it's right over there off Plank Road where the Kentucky Fried Chicken used to be. You all remember that? Over there on Plank Road, the Kentucky Fried Chicken. If you go south a little bit, there's always been a neighborhood store on that corner. What is that, Jefferson? Yeah, whatever it is. I went to nursery school over there with a woman. I just remember her name was Ward, Mrs. Ward. And one of the great things about having preschool teachers that care about you, preschool teachers that care about you, preschool teachers that care about you, is that they would spank your hand. They would put your little butt to work. I can't tell you the number of times I've been out in the backyard picking fruit from the fruit tree and didn't even know I was in the world. But people who care about children will sit children down and read to them. Mrs. Ward would sit us all down, and we would read together. And by the way, Mrs. Ward also piled us in her station wagon and took us to Vacation Bible School, even though she wasn't supposed to be putting them children in her car. But that's another story. She would read to us. And I remember when I saw this passage, I remember when God gave me the title, I remember she would read to us from a book called The Little Engine That Could. Anybody know that story? The little engine that could. Maybe you paid attention and the little engine couldn't make it up the hill on its own. So there came by a shiny gold train, a big engine. And they asked, could you take us up the hill and over the hill? And the shiny gold engine said, look at me. I'm reserved for important people and important things. So that engine went on about its business, and the story says it wound up in a junkyard. And then there came by a big, strong engine. And that engine carried big orders and machinery that was meant for the big stuff. And that engine, when asked, said, I can't be bothered with you. You're not important enough for me. And so that engine went on about its business. But then there came along a little small blue engine. And that little small blue engine said, I don't know if I can, but I'll give it a try. And then all of a sudden, when they hooked up together and the little engine was going up the hill, because sometimes, sometimes the way you go is all uphill sometimes. That little engine kept on going up, saying, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, all the way up to the top. And when the engine got to the top, the engine said, I can, I did it. And I wonder if there's anybody in the Lord's house today that can take an old nursery book when life is hard and troubles come your way, and when the road you're traveling seems all uphill, just tell yourself, baby, I think I can. I think I can. And keep going forward. I think I can. They'll try to tell you, turn around. I think I can. They'll try to tell you, you can't make it. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. And the next thing you know, you standing on top. Give God the praise in the house.
Hallelujah. Glory, 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 glory.